there is another podcast. There's another podcast that we're doing.
Never gonna stop.
I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
Welcome to Griffin and David present Return of the Podcast.
We're back after 3 days.
After 3 days.
You didn't think we'd come back, but we returned.
We returned hardcore. Much like Return of the Jedi, you know, the dangling threads at the end of Empire Strikes Back are like, don't worry, we're doing another movie.
It's true.
And we did the same thing with Empire. We were like, with Podcast Strikes Back. We were like, don't worry, we're coming back.
We're going to come back.
We're going to come back.
We'll return.
And we'll be here soon. Sooner rather than later. Little table dressing, because I think this is going to...
We're sitting at a dress table right now.
It's got a red Christmas tarp.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Just making it a little seasonal for
There's
y'all.
Ben.
That's me.
A.K.A.
Are we going to do them all?
Santa Hawes.
Ooh.
That's not even
I love that.
a pun.
Santa Hawes. If I say
I guess it's kind of a...
Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa Hawes. All right. The Ben Deucer.
He's put a Christmas tarp over the table.
I have.
He's looking festive as shit.
I think he's trimmed
got
his
one of
facial
those-
hair.
Yeah, I was going to say cleanly shaved, but it's not cleanly shaved. There's still stubble.
No, I got a neck beard going.
Yeah.
I'm wearing one of those fun hats where the mistletoe is dangling in front of me, like, you know.
Yeah, so everyone has to kiss Ben. We both tongue kissed Ben when we walked in.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tender kisser, and he respected our boundaries, but still it felt like a little bit of an abuse of power to even put us in that situation.
No, I mean, he's kind of our boss.
He is our boss. He's the Haas.
He's the Haas
He's the
boss.
Santa Haas Claus boss.
All right.
A.K.A. Producer Ben, A.K.A. Producer Ben, A.K.A. the Ben Deucer, A.K.A. the Poet Laureate, A.K.A. Hello Fennel, A.K.A.
All right,
the
you
Peeper.
give me a kiss.
A.K.A. Mr. Positive.
All right. Return of the podcast. Here
Return of
we
the
are.
podcast.
We're going to discuss Star Wars Episode 6.
Yeah, and this is the table dressing I just want to do. This episode should be coming out December 17th, Thursday,
Ben's so amused.
December 17th, right?
I don't know why he's so amused. Why are you so amused?
You always get so mad because you just want to get into it.
Come on!
And
Let's get
it's
into
like, all right, come on. It's like 20 minutes in. We're still talking about
I have been
nothing but the movie.
complimented for yelling about this stuff by fans of the podcast.
Yeah, people like you yelling and people like me talking about sex stuff.
All right.
Thursday, December 17th.
Yeah,
This should
December
be
17th.
dropping. That is the day that J.J. Abrams,
First day.
Star Wars,
The Force
Episode 7,
Awakens.
The Force Awakens, comes out.
Although it doesn't seem to be using the Episode 7 in the advertising.
No, I'm hoping they do in the crawl
Probably.
because I like episodes
Mm-hmm.
of podcasts
Yes, me
like
too.
this one.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
To quote the Fighting in the War Room.
You know,
motto.
I like to think of movies as the first podcast.
Carry on.
Anyway, you're catching us on the last day
Mm-hmm.
that you and I will have not seen that film.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I just want to capture that moment. This
Yeah.
is us looking at what was up until now, chronologically, the last Star Wars movie
Yeah.
on the final day before we know what happens next.
For years, this was the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
This was they wrapped it all up.
His weird roundabout order. This was released in 1983. George says it wasn't finished. He tinkered. He re-released it in 1997, and then episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out. For anyone who's jumping in on this episode first, we only knew that Phantom Menace existed. We watched that one, and then one by one discovered the other movies in chronological order.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's this thing that we did.
Just you know, this is a great entry point episode for new fans, and I want to set the table properly.
Go on. Have you dressed the table properly?
Yeah, Star
Is it dressed?
Wars Episode 6,
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
This is the movie that wraps it all up. We have 6
Until
episodes.
we see a different movie tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, like in terms of the arc that starts with Phantom Menace, the Anakin Skywalker story.
Yeah.
It concludes here.
Or maybe it doesn't. We don't know.
It does. I think it does.
This is definitely, I mean, this...
I don't think there's going to be any Anakin Skywalker in the next one.
I don't know.
All right.
This is the sequel trilogy, right? The
Yeah.
second Star Wars trilogy. At the very least, this trilogy is complete. There's a clean story being told in these 3 films. There's a different clean story being told in the OT,
all right,
the Phantom
all right.
Menace trilogy. I just say, how dare you come out and say the story's done?
It's done. The Anakin story concludes
In
in Return of
14
the
hours,
Jedi.
we're going to see a new movie.
The Anakin's story and George Lucas's story concludes.
Yes,
here.
this concludes George Lucas's story.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
Yeah. But he says in interviews, like, oh, it's like the 6 movies are really this big. It's Anakin. It's like the rise and fall and redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, but now he's got kids.
All right. Anyway, carrying on.
Kids are going to be in the new movie. And they're not kids anymore. They're grown-ups.
I know. They're grown-ups in these movies.
Yeah, but they're going to be more grown-up.
Yeah.
Should we read that Abrams quote?
Yeah. I mean, let's not, we don't want to speculate too much about what's going to happen in this movie.
We're here to
so
talk
close
about
to it.
Return of the Jedi, but go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of panic attacks this week.
Let me get the opening crawl.
With wrapping my head around the entire state of the Star Wars universe between the things that we're rewatching and analyzing and the things we're about to see.
I'm pumped up.
I am too. It's just a weird time.
Kind of weird you're losing sleep over it.
I'm losing sleep.
All right, so Abrams in a Rolling Stone interview was quoted with saying, "I want to make something worth people's time and not a commercial for toys."
It's a burn.
Ouch.
That's a burn. Bernie Sanders, right up on George's grill.
Yep.
Return of the Jedi, the completion of George Lucas's original story.
Not directed by George Lucas. Directed by Richard Marquand?
Yes.
Marquand,
I think.
Yeah.
Quand.
The director of Jagged Edge.
Right. That was made after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Up until Return of the Jedi, he had mostly done documentaries.
Yeah, kind of an odd choice.
I think he'd done 2 scripted films before.
And from what I've read, he was not that involved in the visual effects side of this movie.
Kind of seems like
apparently
it.
Lucas did a lot of second unit directing. He did a lot of visual effects helping.
Yeah.
There's this famous quote, which is like, Marquand said, is it Marquand or Marquand?
Who knows?
Said it's trying to direct King Lear with Shakespeare in the next room, basically.
Yeah, I think he kind of half directed this movie.
Yeah, I mean, George Lucas said he was really good with the actors, which is actually it's kind of a compliment, I think, from George. I think it's George saying I'm not the best with the actors. It's a slight admittance of that.
I will say I think the performances in this one are not as good as they were in Empire.
Well, the script's a lot weaker. We're going to say this movie's, unfortunately, in my opinion, Empire's a little better than New Hope, and New Hope's a little better than the prequel trilogy. And by a little better, I mean a lot better. But I would say this one's a little worse. This is a little worse. I really enjoyed it. This is what we really have to talk about today, okay? Star Wars: A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back are pretty terrific,
universally revered films,
Two thumbs up.
The people who don't like them are sort of making a stand. It's a political statement to not like those movies.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, sure.
It's
contrary.
There's no thing that everyone likes.
Opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
But people really like them. And people like them on a deep reading level. Little children are
But Return of the Jedi
has always been viewed as a
little bit inferior.
The black sheep of the family.
Well, I think you can see, people see maybe seeds that are planted here that come to fruit in the prequel.
I agree.
Movies. In the original
I think
trilogy.
you mean the original trilogy. Yes, thank you. You definitely see as the film. This movie came out in 1983.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace came out in 1999, and you see the things, the machinations starting to come into place
a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit, and it's a little rough around the edges. I think this movie gets too much of a bad shake.
I would agree with that.
Now, there are a couple factors at play here. One, it's very hard for me to, with this film in particular, be objective and just view it, because this is exactly the kind of movie I love the most as a kid.
I was going to say the same thing. This was my favorite Star Wars movie when I was a kid. I hate bits and yada yada yada.
That
but
is true.
This was absolutely
I hit the bell
taking the fucking
because you were on the mark on that one. There's a bell in the room. Christmas bells. Santa Hawes. No, this is what I was gonna say. Bits aside, yes, I just remember that I watched this movie as a child, and it was my favorite of the three.
Right, yeah.
But there's a bigger point I'm trying to get at here, which is the things that differentiate this film from the previous two, if you could bottle them, are also the elements I most looked for in a film in general as a child.
Yeah, but
it's my type of movie that I grew up feeling the most strongly about. I fucking love Muppets, as you know.
Yeah, it's very Muppety, this movie.
It's very Muppety.
Very Muppety.
Even just the tone of it. It's got a different tone.
Yeah, it does.
Than
That's true.
The other two, I would argue. It's a lot more sort of smooth and rounded.
Yeah.
I really liked conclusions.
Right. It's a movie
As
that
a
wraps
child,
everything up
it's the
pretty nicely.
only one
a
that,
little too nicely.
A little too nicely, but
I got a lot to talk about.
The only one
actually.
of the three that ends.
Yeah.
But even just
Star Wars ends. New Hope. That ends.
Yeah.
That has a definitive ending.
It's the only one of the three that I'm not gonna say the only one of the three, but just aesthetically, tonally, the vibe of the movie. It's like the types of movies that I used to rewatch on video over and over again as a child. Weird British like sci-fi fantasy like things.
Like Krull.
Not even Krull. I'm thinking about. But like there were just a lot of movies.
British sci-fi, so I was
yeah, I just remember seeing, and I couldn't even name all these, but just like a lot of things that used to replay on TV over and over again on like nascent cable channels that only had 6 movies in rotation.
Yeah.
So I'd watch the same thing over and over again. I mean, much like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, neither of which I think are great movies. Movies I admire a lot.
I would say Dark Crystal is pretty great. Labyrinth is okay.
I like both of them very, very deeply.
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't think under like intense scrutiny
all right,
the films hold up.
Right.
But that type of world that is created in that movie and the vibe of it and everything is like what I would,
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi has that feeling.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it and then we can talk
The first 30 minutes of it I think are perfect.
They're pretty great. I wouldn't call them perfect because there's some business in them that I don't know.
They're my favorite 30 minutes of any Star Wars movie.
I don't know if I agree with that. But
we
they're
go
great.
into it, but that's what I would say.
I'm going to read the opening crawl.
Okay.
Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Boom.
Luke Skywalker has returned to his home planet of Tatooine in an attempt to rescue his friend Han Solo from the clutches of the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt.
Already we're answering questions. Who's the Jedi returning? Luke. Done.
True.
We're not going to tease this out for you.
Yeah, it's the return. So is it? I guess it's just singular. There's no other Jedi in this movie.
Well, I think the idea is that he also represents the idea
Jedi
of a Jedi.
back. Yeah.
The idea of a Jedi has been dead for so long. He is the Jedi who's returning, but with him, he also brings the promise of a new Jedi order, perhaps.
And we know, Han Solo, that was the biggest dangling thread. He got captured by Jabba the Hutt. Luke's trying to rescue him.
And we like that
vile gangster. We like what?
We like Han Solo.
He's a good character.
He's a good character. Ben, agreed?
All right, love me some Han Solo.
All right, I'm moving to the second paragraph.
Okay.
Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armored space station even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star.
Ooh, interesting. I can't even imagine what this thing would look like. Something that's more akin to, but more...
I see where you're going.
Okay.
Yes. When completed, this ultimate weapon will spell certain doom for the small band of rebels struggling to restore freedom to the galaxy.
Ah, geez, a game changer, an entirely different type of weapon. I'm so excited to see what this thing is.
I see the bit that you are doing. Yes, so it's just another Death Star.
Oh, okay.
It's like a half-built one. It looks kind of cool.
But it's half-built, but it just looks like they're going to make it look the same as the first.
I mean,
it looks like when it's finished,
it's
Death
Death
Star
Star shaped.
Okay, but
it looks a little different.
Does it have a cool new name?
Death Star.
Death Star 2. Oh.
I mean, yeah.
It's
got this like sort of, it looks like scaffolding or like crenellation,
I thought that was just it being unfinished.
And it is.
Yeah.
I know. It's kind of cool.
I just would love to see a fucking Mad TV sketch pitch here. But I'd love to see like the business meeting where they're like, okay, guys, we all agree.
I'm actually going to cut this off right away. This is
the
worst.
We need a new
no one wants to see
weapon.
This.
Thumbs up.
Call me crazy. Bad joke pitch. What if we just did the Death Star again?
Yeah.
Death Star 2.
I think it's interesting because I want to talk about the Death Star.
Thank you, Ben.
No, it's not funny.
Thank you, Ben.
I
don't know.
I think it's supposed to be bigger.
Sure.
Than the previous Death Star. I looked this up on Wikipedia.
Okay.
It is listed as being 30 kilometers bigger on either side.
Okay.
Which is big.
Yeah.
But it looks smaller because it's next to this moon that's like way bigger than it.
Location. That's what you're saying.
Well, because
if you're going to make yourself look bigger, don't sit next to a moon.
In Star Wars A New Hope, when they see it, they think it's a moon.
Right.
And then in this movie, it is like a tiny satellite of a moon. And it always weirded me out.
No, I think that's a little bit of kindness that they don't want people to mistake it for a moon anymore. They go next to a moon and they're like, we're still big. We just want you to know. We want to have your lines cleared. This is not a moon. We're a killer ship. Have fun.
Sigh. So there's a new Death Star.
Death Star 2.
We don't.
It's literally called the Death Star 2.
And what I do like, So, and I wrote a piece about Admiral Piet this week because he's my favorite character. Big fan of Admiral Piet. Yeah, on theatlantic.com. And I like that in this, almost pretty much like the first scene in the movie. Mm-hmm. Is it the first scene in the movie?
He comes in real fast.
Is Vader arriving on this Death Star?
Yeah.
And literally being like, come on, guys, like tapping his watch.
Yeah, it's the first scene. Yeah, it's the classic.
Like, what's the deal? You're behind schedule. Like, you almost wanted to be talking to like a union crew. Like it's beginning to get that sense of George Lucas like griping.
Yeah.
At, the Trade Federation is him griping at his tax bill, right?
Yeah,
this story is like, these fucking, they don't build quickly enough. Yeah. They don't obey. And so Darth Vader arrives and the guy's like, I'm trying. And Darth Vader's like, well, the Emperor's going to show up. And that's all the guy needs to hear. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll redouble our efforts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a great scene.
I like that the fear the Emperor brings, and I just love how lame everyone else in the Empire is. Everyone else in the Empire is just a sad bureaucrat trying to obey the commands of an evil space wizard. And Admiral Piet's obviously the best one of them all. And he's on the big Star Destroyer. But,
You are pitching a Galactic Empire workplace comedy to TV land tomorrow night.
I have wanted that to exist for so long. Absolutely. I think it would be so funny. But whatever. I don't know. Life in the Empire.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be like life in any kind of like Empire type thing.
It should be this specifically. It should be canon. Did you finish reading The Crawl?
Yeah, I finished reading The Crawl.
So
we're done with The Crawl.
Under the ship, the classic shot, we get on the ship, it's Darth Vader tapping his watch.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we hard cut, right?
Yeah, to Tatooine. Yeah.
Once again.
This movie has a weird plot structure where it's like, you got that little intro.
Yeah.
And then it's like this block on Tatooine, and then it's the final set piece, basically.
Yes.
Which is like, takes like a day or two.
Yeah.
Like, I guess in like movie time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's basically just like, after Tatooine, it's just like, all right, we got to blow up the Death Star and kill the Emperor and do all the stuff. Like, let's do it. And then that's it.
I would argue, despite the fact that I'm going to spend most of this episode defending this movie, that is not terrifically plotted.
No, it's not. It was written by Kasdan and Lucas.
And Lucas has co-writing credit on this.
He's back.
Yeah, he's back. Story by Lucas, screenplay by Lucas and Kasdan.
So, I mean, like, it's trying to wrap everything up in a big bow.
Yes.
But also spend a lot of time with teddy bear people. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
So Tatooine.
C-3PO, R2-D2, our main guys.
Here they are. Just like the first, just like A New Hope.
I like that. We're seeing once again things from their eyes. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with you. It's really good.
And I like that there are all these gaps. We're starting at a point where we don't really understand what's happened since the last time we saw our characters.
Yeah.
We know from The Crawl the main things that are trying to be accomplished.
Well, we know Jabba has Han Solo. That's about it.
And Luke is a Jedi now. But other than that, we don't know. C-3PO and R2-D2 roll in, knock on the door. There's like a robot eyeball bouncer.
Yeah.
Coming through the door.
We only have about an hour.
They get through. You're seeing, once again, collection of great Star Wars aliens in the background. That's what I like.
When they get there, it's like a scary atmosphere.
Yep.
There's all these weird aliens.
It's like a huge club in the middle of the desert. Like, you just see a wall, you don't see windows.
Sex S&M dungeon
That's
run
why
by
I want
a
to
giant
talk about the eyeball bouncer.
Yeah,
because
the eyeball
it feels
bouncer
like a
is cool.
speakeasy thing.
And
you're
these
like,
sort of
what's going on behind here?
These sort of like boars with axes, like these
Gamorrean
medieval
guards.
boars.
Yeah.
So they're like the guards.
Yes.
You've got Bib Fortuna, who's sort of the major domo.
Yeah.
Who we see in Phantom Menace.
He's in Jabba's box?
Yeah, for like half a second.
Right, yeah. Much bigger part in this one.
Yeah, I like, is Bib Fortuna male or female, or is that just sort of not?
I think male.
He kind of has a male face. I think he was played by a male actor, but he's got these sort of long fingernails. He's sort of, I like him. He's sort of androgynous.
No need for us to be so binary. Bib Fortuna is Bib Fortuna.
And I just like, you're seeing the procedures of Jabba's palace, right? Like you're greeted by guards, you're greeted by Bib Fortuna, and then you're like led into this like stinky den that's got like a band. It's got like weird sex slaves.
Hey, not just any band.
Okay,
talking about Max Rebo band.
Yeah, the Max Rebo band.
Let's just be on the level here. Ben's favorite band of all time. Ben is currently
this band.
wearing a leather Max Rebo band jacket with patches on the back from every separate tour date he's gone to. Ben's sort of a fish head for Rebo. He follows them on the road.
All right. So
he
some of the
collects CDRs of their live shows.
So some of the Max Rebo band members, you've got Max Rebo's the sort of like little kind of furry bug guy who's like, do that, like that. Is that him?
I believe Max Rebo is the blue elephant.
No, that's Size Noodles.
Then Max Rebo.
Oh no, maybe you're right. Maybe that is Max Rebo.
Let's see.
Now I have to look it up.
Oh,
okay,
boy.
now I got it. Max Rebo's the elephant
He's
guy.
the elephant.
Nailed it.
Okay. So who's Size Noodles again? Is he like the one who's playing like a clarinet?
Snice Noodles is this dude.
No, that's a lady.
Yep.
All right.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Size
she's
Noodles
Size Noodles.
with the puckered asshole, with the mouth.
She's
who's
a
like,
bummer. She is a huge bummer.
She's a bummer.
Because there's this huge CGI sequence where she sings.
Yeah.
And like her mouth kind of looks at the camera almost.
Yeah, she's like the Sammy Hagar of this band. She's the one that like took them down from where they were.
Yeah, she's like Fergie.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
She's a bummer. I don't like her. I don't like their song.
Yeah.
The only thing I really like about the Max Rebo band is Max Rebo, I guess, the elephant.
Max Rebo will,
because he has this really cool like piano that encircles him. Like
Droopy McCool.
Oof, what a name.
What a name.
Which one's Droopy McCool?
Droopy McCool is like white as a sheet of paper, and he looks like those
Oh, he's one of the brain guys. He looks like a shrimp.
No, he looks like a pillowcase.
He looks like a pillow.
He looks like a pillowcase.
I'm sure you're right.
He does. But this is a thing to immediately talk about, and we're gonna have to talk about this more on this episode, okay?
Okay.
And you're gonna hate where this is going. Yeah, Droopy McCool plays the thing, and he looks like a pillowcase.
Oh, that's Droopy McCool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, he's the one who plays the weird clarinet. Okay.
He's the one who plays the weird clarinet, and he
Okay.
looks like a pillowcase.
Okay.
I don't know what the little furry guy's name is. But it's established. Ben, what are you laughing at?
Droopy's actual birth name is a series of unpronounceable flute-like whistles.
Great.
Oh, that's cool.
What are you getting to?
So he's
that
like
I'm
Donald
not even
Duck
gonna like.
Dunn.
What are you
in
getting
the Blues
to?
Brothers? They had to give him a fun name so that people could remember him.
Oh my god! What are you getting to? What's the
this film?
God. I'm gonna kill everyone in this room.
You're going to be even angrier when I
What?
start saying what I'm going to say. So I'm trying to figure out the way to make you least mad.
Oh my god.
George Lucas fucked with this movie a lot in the 90s.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
The most of the three.
Yeah.
We know that George considers that the films weren't done until the 90s, that the special editions are the definitive versions. They're always
right.
what he
well,
intended.
no, but then he messed with them more. Like this,
He's
he
never
does
going to
not
stop
The
messing with them.
97 version is not because he kept adding to it.
Yes.
And he kept messing with
Well,
it.
the point is no work is ever finished, and as an
No,
artist, you just have to step away.
Yeah.
This movie's got a lot of bullshit in it.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some bullshit for sure.
I would argue more than the other two in this trilogy.
The other movies don't have any bullshit in them.
A New Hope has the Jabba scene.
Oh, yeah, right.
Which is
he added
bullshit.
that too. Yeah, that's
right.
awful.
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about in terms of bullshit.
No, yeah,
I'm talking
sure.
about the
But I'm
modern.
saying this movie, yeah, no, but even the 1983 version of this movie has a lot
I'm
of
talking
bullshit
just
in
about the
it.
modern
All right,
bullshit.
okay.
That's the spotlight I want to put on right now.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
In terms of the modern, updated bullshit, this has the most of it.
Yeah, okay.
There are less, like,
What's
story
your point?
changes.
What's your point?
Well, this fucking musical performance
Yeah.
in the 1993 version was entirely different.
Yeah, right, because it was all puppets. I have seen it, but it's been a long time.
And the song is different.
Right.
And the scene is structured differently.
Right.
And they add Cy Soodles, who was in the original version. They make all CGI now. And then they add this new, like, guy who looks like a fucking termite.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
looks
That's
like a
the guy.
whammy. He's like a furry whammy
yeah,
from
he looks
Press
like a
Your Luck.
whammy. yeah.
And he moves like Joe Cocker.
Okay.
And they have this dumb shot where he's singing and then he goes like, ah! And
Yeah,
his
yeah.
mouth like swallows
Yeah,
the
he's
camera.
got, he's
as
sort
if he's aware that he's in a movie.
Sure.
In a film that otherwise, throughout this trilogy, has been so cinematically classical, he's like fucking with you like you're watching Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and is doing like calm
But
response
he's
stuff.
not doing it. It's like whatever tech person he hired to do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem.
No, I'm saying this character.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, get to your point. What's your point? I don't get what your point is. Apart from that this scene is annoying, which it is. Oh my god, what?
You're going to get so angry.
What?
So that happens. A lot of these scenes, the ships are redone, you know? There are
Uh-huh.
various creatures in the back that are clearly CGI.
Yeah,
the
right.
Sarlacc pit, which we're getting to. Like,
Ugh.
more than the other two
Just
films.
always embellishing on
Always,
everything.
but all these little things, you know? There's one establishing shot outside Jabba's palace where you just see a
like
frog
a thing,
and
like
eats a
eat
thing.
something.
And it's like,
yeah.
you don't fucking need it.
Okay, what? I'm gonna murder you. We don't have much time.
George Lucas was married to Marsha.
I don't
Lucas.
care about this.
No, you do. This is important. I have to get to this.
About this. What? Just do it quickly. I want to talk about this movie.
She edited all 3 original films.
Yeah, I know.
She did win an Oscar. I confirm that. She won an Oscar for the first
one. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
They got divorced shortly after Return of the Jedi.
Sure.
Married the man who installed the stained glass window at Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, for people who didn't listen to our Revenge of the Sith live episode, that was discussed there.
George Lucas had to walk under that archway every single day when he went into work, made by the man who now
Maybe they're on good terms, though. Do we know?
No, he refuses to acknowledge her ever.
All right.
Has had her wiped from all the documentaries and books about it.
All right.
She's persona non grata, despite the fact that she not only edited all 3 films, but helped develop the scripts with him, was a big creative consult for him. She's no longer talked about, period.
Yeah.
She has been
That's
stricken from the record.
Is she alive?
She is alive.
Okay.
She kind of is a recluse.
She just kind of takes it easy.
She produced a short film in 1996. Her last editing job ever was Return of the Jedi. No one really knows what she's up to. She married the stained glass window guy for 10 years. They divorced. No one really knows what she's up to.
Go on.
She got $50 million in divorce.
So she's fine.
What's
your point? She was the one who was kind of keep reining him in? Is that your point?
Well, yes. And I think I've hit that note hard enough throughout the series.
Yeah.
But this is a huge thing, okay? George Lucas, I do think we have learned throughout watching all these movies, has really bad judgment.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps good instincts and bad judgment.
Uh-huh.
And so he looked at these original films, had the wrong idea of why people liked them, why they worked,
and
then reverse engineered.
I don't agree. I think that he just has ILM and just wanted to mess with them. He just likes it. It just makes him happy.
I think column A, column B.
Oh my God.
I also think when you hear him talk about it, he defends the movies in ways that don't make any sense, and he essentially goes, if you don't like it, it's because you don't understand.
But you know what? I'm going to speak up for George Lucas here.
Yeah.
He made some fucking movies
Yeah.
that are great.
Yes.
And we constantly yell at him all the time about the things he did, the things he changed, the things we don't like, the new movies he made. And he's just, he's never giving an interview and people aren't like, well, what about this? What about this? And he has to come up with some, he does what he wants to do.
I agree, and I have been, as bad as anyone at this in terms of personally yelling at his face twice on 2 consecutive episodes.
Let's just fucking get over it.
That's not the point I'm trying to get at.
What are you trying to get at? Oh my God.
He thought the films weren't finished because he has these effects that he couldn't realize in his head what he wanted to look like, and all this bullshit in the background and whatever. And so the movies are done 83. She divorces him. He goes and does other stuff for a while. He comes back in the 90s and goes, I'm making more Star Wars. I'm making the first 3, and I'm releasing special editions. And they come out and people go, oh, all these changes are kind of weird.
I mean, I remember originally people were kind of like, all right,
Yes.
especially in 97.
They took a little while to sink in. Why do I think they sunk in? Because
he made the prequels and nobody liked them.
Bigger thing.
All right.
He then never let people see the original movies ever again.
Well, right, of course, yes. The only hit on him is he should just let people see the original movie.
Every time someone has done that, has gone back and revised their own work.
We're just turning into what is this, a nerd podcast?
No, this is huge. David, this is huge.
Yeah. Go on. What
They've allowed the original version to exist, and he's been steadfast about it. And when the Library of Congress asked to induct Star Wars in, he gave him a 35mm print of the 1997 special edition.
Mm-hmm.
That's such...
I don't care.
Such devastating
Guys,
news.
I'm on the record. I don't give a shit about any of this. Finish your point.
David, do you know what I figured out while watching the movie last night?
What did you figure out?
While watching through to the end credits?
What?
Do you know that with these new special editions, the only versions that he allows to be legally released, and the only time he's released the original versions in any form in the last 15 years, was as special features, not classified as their own movies on a DVD that was available. He did editions, special editions, where they were bonus disc, special features, hidden under the menu, only available for 3 months.
I'm going to kill you.
In the end credits, it reveals that not only do the special editions have, like, different, the crew to remaster and the new effects team, but a different editor.
Okay. This is your big reveal?
That by establishing a different cut of the film...
All right. Yes. He
Marsha
hates his wife, his ex-wife.
Is never, ever entitled to make
All right.
Any residuals. She no longer has points in the film.
Okay. You think it's all just a big revenge fuck against Marshall Lucas?
I think he genuinely thinks it looks better with these stupid butthole creatures.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
But I also think a man who is not driven so mad by the failure he feels to make that relationship work would not say, hey, no one can ever watch those movies ever again. They don't exist. Pretend that he doesn't even have the elements to restore them.
Has anyone even ever done
No
that
one has ever
before?
tried.
No.
That's such a weird thing to do.
All right. I want to go on the record. I don't support this theory. I don't care about it at all. Marshall Lucas is...
Like, Godfather 3 is bad.
Yeah.
Somebody should fix that movie. Let's just start fixing all the movies.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
You know
I agree
what?
that you can't fix
Movies
the
are
movie.
products of
Just
their time.
let them stand.
Let's
I
update
agree.
Casablanca and
But
have
I also,
cell phones.
I hate nerds, and they're always complaining. And it's like, dude, just whatever. It's okay.
I'm not angry
Take what he gives
at
you.
George. I empathize with him. I understand this is a wounded man.
We have to talk about this movie. I'm going to
They go
nail
to
you
Jabba's
to
palace.
a cross.
It's crazy. It's awesome.
Ben, cut all of that out.
It's the
I swear to
scummiest
God.
space we've ever seen.
I actually
my God.
might cut some of that out.
Yeah. That
No,
was
I'm
crazy.
You're cutting none of that out.
Oh, my God.
The cantina. We thought the cantina was bad.
Rebo.
I'm so mad at Griffin right now. It's crazy
This
how
is
mad I am at
important.
Griffin. I'm so mad about it.
This is what people tune in to hear about.
Oh, my God. I just wanted to talk about stupid Return of the Jedi.
We're talking about it. What I'm here trying to talk about Return
All
of
right,
the Jedi,
I'm gonna bring us
and you're
back.
talking about not liking me.
Hey, guys.
How is that
Guys,
productive?
what did you think of Leia's outfit?
Too fast. Too fast. We
Okay,
can't go
sorry,
there yet.
Sorry.
Jabba's palace is awful.
Uh-huh.
It's filled with scum.
Yeah.
It's like the cantina times 1,000,000,000.
Yeah.
We knew that Jabba was in charge of Tatooine, that the Hutts ran it. But we didn't know that they were like actual monsters. I'm not talking physical appearance. I'm talking in behavior. Right? So he's this dude sitting on a throne, drinking grape juice. He's got a little creature laughing next to him all the time.
Yeah,
and a
Salacious
bunch
Crumb,
of
who I
women
love.
chained up, and he's making them dance
And
all
he
the
drops
time.
them into pits and kills them.
Why are you in such a bad mood now?
Because I just hate that Marshall Lucas shit so much.
It's
I really
so
genuinely
important.
hate it. It's not.
Yes, it is.
Because I think you can just invent anything. Like, you know, it's like I don't like reading into that stuff. I hate
think
it.
it's super
I
important.
think films should stand on their own merits. That's it. I don't care about like behind the scenes too much. It's interesting. I like
we
hearing
are
about
not
it.
just a podcast.
I love You Must Remember This.
We're not just a
Love the
podcast
behind-the-scenes
talking
stuff.
about these movies. We're trying to make sense of the entire thing around
You know
these
what?
films.
I think it was actually a good time. Let's cut to a commercial break.
Are we going to have commercial breaks now?
Yeah.
This episode is the start of this.
Yeah.
This might be the last episode we ever do. Okay, let's play the commercial break.
Wait, did we really take a commercial break?
Maybe.
Wow.
Jabba is dropping ladies down pits. This guy has no respect for anyone else. The one thing he loves is that framed carbonite Han Solo on the wall.
I actually like that a lot.
Me too.
It's not mentioned, or it's vaguely mentioned, but like in Empire, Boba Fett just wants to bring, like, it's the carbonite's just a transportation method.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's supposed to be like
a trophy.
Jabba requests,
Yes.
But I think I like the idea of Jabba just seeing that and being like, ha, that's great. Just put that right over there.
I like the way that looks. I like the feng shui of that.
Before I got so furious with you for fucking bringing up all that shit and
It's
talking
so
for 20
important.
minutes
It's gonna
about stupid
all
CGI
make
nonsense.
sense in a bigger picture kind of way when you listen to this entire series.
I'm going to kill him. I do just, yes. I like we were saying, C-3PO and R2-D2
We're seeing
arrive,
it from
and
their
I like
eyes.
that we just, everything unfolds very nicely. We get the sin and iniquity of
Yeah.
Jabba. We get his personality very quickly. I love him. He's a
Jabba?
big puppet. Yeah.
Jabba rules.
He's cool.
I mean, he sucks, but he rules.
yeah. He's not great. He's
We
not
don't
a
like
nice
him
person.
morally. We love
But, you
him
know,
as viewers.
Just like there's something about the way he presides over things that is original, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only other, well, the Emperor is a pretty good villain, but he's the best villain that's not Darth Vader, I would say.
Well, this is my favorite thing about this chunk of the movie.
I mean, if you look at him in the 6 movies, he's bizarre. Like, he's in
let's-
Phantom Menace as a race guy, and then he's kind of like nice to Han Solo in A New Hope, and he's like, hey, don't worry about it. And then in this one, he's like the nastiest thing that ever
the
existed.
grossest creature of all time.
So,
in every
like,
sense.
I think he probably should not be in the movies other than this movie.
I agree. It almost feels like this should be the first time you see it.
Yeah, because he's been talked about.
Yeah.
And in Empire,
Mhm.
Han Solo's like, I gotta deal with this.
Yes.
But, like, yeah, he's kind of blunted by those earlier appearances. But whatever.
Whatever.
He's very cool in this one.
He's great in this. C-3PO and R2-D2 walk in, see him. Everything's weird. They play a message.
Yeah.
It's like a reversal of A New Hope. It's now Luke instead of Leia.
And he just is like, these guys are gifts, enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
And Jabba's like, oh, okay, send him to the back room.
I don't think Jabba Jabba's just amused because C-3PO didn't know it was going to happen, and C-3PO's just like bleeping about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all this stuff is cool. Like, there's that weird robot who's like the sort of slave master who tells...
And they're like branding. They're like hot iron branding other robots, and they all seem really depressed.
Actually, I love the scene with the little guy who's getting his feet toasted or whatever, but also like, it brings up this like, wait, robots can feel pain? This hasn't come up before.
Maybe, I don't know, or maybe he
like,
just...
C-3PO got blasted into bits. Why wasn't he like shrieking the whole time?
Maybe he's screaming because he doesn't want to... He likes the way his feet look. It's not a physical pain thing.
It's just it's a really cool idea, though, like to see. But you do immediately start going like, wait, what? Like, or maybe they like put a chip in his brain to make him feel pain. That'd be crazy.
I mean, I think a thing, even if this is the weakest of the three movies, that this film does well, and it's in stark relief in this movie, it because of its faults in other areas, I think becomes very clear. Stands in opposition to the Phantom Menace trilogy. Is there's a way to which all three of these movies are shot. And part of it is the technology, the limitations of the time, the fact that, you couldn't do crazy CGI, that you had to, as we talked about in the past, build a bunch of stuff, have it all ready on the same day, set it up in the frame.
Yeah, right.
Have the actors
and Jabba's this like huge puppet that like 8 people are operating or whatever. Right.
There is so much that isn't explained. But it isn't aggravating because the stuff they don't explain is the stuff that is world building.
Like, what do you mean? Just give me one example before we
whether or not robots can feel.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah, no, I like
that.
I like
you
that.
don't need that.
And then you see the disintegrated robot, the half just it's like, and
all these things and who the characters are, whatever. Yeah. You go into an environment like if you're making a movie about lawyers, like The Judge,
like the Judge.
They don't need to spend the time explaining to us, okay, by the way, a lawyer is someone who...
No, of course not. No. I get what world building is,
Right. And what I like about these movies, as opposed to how the prequels work, is that the original trilogy, episode 1, 2, and 3, I like that these films, like, just don't explain shit.
Yeah, no.
They don't have a scene where you walk into Jabba's palace and someone goes, so listen, Jabba comes from a family line. Technically, they own all the property here and this and that. So he collects rent from everybody, and this is how he collected all of this. They shoot everything and dramatically play everything out in a way like it is just a world, Yeah,
of course.
Like, cinematically, it looks like it was shot in a courtroom, except it's not. It's shot in a crazy environment with weird shit happening in the background.
Let's just in the case of, like, what I also like is Lando's there.
Yeah.
But nobody knows.
Right.
But he's there.
Right.
And we just sort of take a glance at him.
He's wearing a mask. He's like a guard.
And
he
he's
pulls
sort of
down
like,
little, and you see that mustache, and you go, ooh.
And then Leia shows up.
Yeah.
It's, spoiler alert, guys, it's Leia. Dressed as a little bounty hunter.
Yeah.
With Chewbacca. And, like, I just like, it's like the droids show up. Oh, there's Lando.
Yeah.
Here's Chewbacca. Like, we're like, oh, everyone's dropping in.
You are skipping over, though. The droids get assigned to jobs.
I mentioned the slave guy. Yeah. So, but
like,
R2 becomes a bartender.
A translator, and R2D is a translator.
3PO as a translator is pretty funny because he doesn't get that he should finesse, like, negotiation.
He's very literal.
But whatever. That's about the obvious. It's good. It's just, like, it's not surprising to see C-3PO struggling to understand human emotions.
Not good at nuance.
Or Hutt emotions, I guess.
Sure. Emotions, period.
Jabba the Hutt's really funny.
Yeah, he's great.
He's got this awesome language.
Bad guy, great character.
He's like rubbery in the right way. You can kind of see the seams of his costume, but it almost helps.
Do you think
it's really good that Lucas did not replace that puppet?
No. Do you think like his knees gave out between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi? Because in New Hope, like, he's not super mobile.
But you're like, like, whatever. He's just got so fat that he couldn't.
Because in this, he literally can't move. Well, I mean, it's like they have to wheel him out.
Look, the reason is that it's a puppet, right? But still, I do like that bit. I like that bit where they surprise Leia when she frees Han from the carbonite, where it's like they just kind of roll him out, and it's like, how was he hidden? He's on this huge platform.
They had a poster in front of him.
And they're just like, there he is.
They had a cardboard wall painted to look like he wasn't there.
So, Leia frees Han, but they get rumbled.
This is badass, because Leia comes in.
She's very cool.
And you don't know it's Leia at first. They don't tip the audience off to it. It's a very small bounty hunter, but other than that, her face is fully concealed. She's got a voice, like, modifier.
She's pulling the same trick that they pulled in New Hope, that, like, Chewbacca in Manacles trick.
Yes,
but it's good.
Right.
And she has this tense standoff with Jabba. It's very cool. She has a grenade, a thermal detonator. like, and she like impresses him.
Right. She calls his bluff. He's like, "This is my kind of scoundrel," and you're like,
scum.
Yes. This is like the coolest bounty hunter we've seen in the film. That she waits until nightfall. Jabba's away. He's hiding behind a One Direction poster.
And she frees Han, and Han's kind of out of it.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Then she gets rumbled, and Jabba puts her in a fucking sexy gold bikini.
Okay, if we're going to talk about this problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just annoying because Leia is, like, so cool for 5 minutes, and then it's like, well, and now please enjoy Leia in a sexy gold bikini while a slug licks her. I mean, you can't deny it.
No, I feel like now you're teeing me up to get into another conversation that you don't want to have.
What, about Marshall Lucas again? No.
No, it's not about Marshall Lucas. I think there's a big thing to discuss here, which is the difference between the content within a film and how an audience interprets it.
Oh, I guess so. No, I just wish this movie let Leia do a little more. I think this movie struggles with that.
I think she's only in the bikini for like 15 minutes.
If that.
Right. If that. The opening of the film is the coolest Leia's ever been.
Yeah, she's pretty cool in Empire when she's on in Boston.
I think the Boosh stuff is the coolest.
It's cool.
It's just really cool. I think she's got some very cool stuff at the end of the film. She maintains agency.
No, she's fine. I don't know why.
No, but this is an important thing to talk about because it's been like a lot of think pieces about this recently, right?
I guess so. I mean,
the problem is there are 20 minutes of the film that amount to maybe 8 minutes of screen time in which within the narrative, she is now a slave of Jabba's because he caught her trying to free Han or freeing Han, and now she's in a metal bikini and she's on a chain.
It's just the only female character the movies have.
Right.
Just sort of annoying.
Okay. But Jabba's established as being a piece of shit.
I get that it all makes sense within character.
He doesn't appreciate women.
Yeah, but like,
it's a reality of the world that they've created.
I guess so. I actually don't buy that argument totally. Because
I
like,
do.
He's a slug. Why does he want to have sex with like white women? Why doesn't he want to have sex with like I don't know?
Not having sex.
Well, why does he want to like lick and like whatever, kind of fondle them?
But from the time we walk in, he's got like 4 women. Like
I know that's what I'm
Ula
saying. It's kind of lame.
He's got open tastes.
I don't really buy it. It feels like they're like, hey, it just feels like Larry Kasdan, young Larry Kasdan, and George Lucas being like, it'd be pretty fucking great if Leia was in like a crazy sexy bikini.
See, this is where I disagree, and I don't want to play devil's advocate here, but I feel like the film never sexualizes her to the audience. No, I think she exists as a thing that's being like abused by Jabba.
We should say she is one of the most iconic sex symbols in the history of cinema. Is Leia in the gold bikini?
Well, this is the whole
like,
point I'm
top
getting to.
5.
Can you can you hold the movie responsible for the fact that for like?
I think you can. Yes, I do.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I'm not saying anything either way, but I think it's a very tricky question, which is that like this movie was seen by a lot of boys who were very young at the age.
I was never into this, by the way. I don't know if like I do feel like this is an early like a lot of straight men classify this like an early sort of awakening moment when I was 8 years old and I saw Leia in Return of the Jedi.
Because when you're 8 years old, you don't see that many movies where women are that scantily clad.
I'm not objecting to that.
Right. So I think it becomes this thing of like, whatever the first thing you see establishes your sexual peccadillos or whatever it is.
Yeah, Winona Ryder and Beetlejuice.
Right. That's the only person I want to date, except the grown-up version of it, which is essentially just
anyway,
modern day.
We need to move on because we don't have much time. But it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting debate. I don't know.
I just think the problematic area is that for 30 years that became the dominant visual of Leia, the main costume that they merchandised, the thing that everyone talked about, this pop culture like.
I mean, she has this heroic moment where she gets to kill Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Hey, no, her honey bun haircut.
Also pretty famous.
That was very iconic.
That's true.
I would even argue to say that her wearing her white costume with the buns is
pretty much
more
just
iconic.
as iconic. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. In the last 10 years, I will say, speaking from my area of expertise, the slave outfit's been merchandised more than anything else. Yeah. And the mere fact that the thing that's being merchandised is called a slave outfit.
Was on the cover of GQ this year, like sucking C-3PO's thumb, wearing the slave Leia outfit.
Right.
And like, I don't give it. Amy Schumer can do whatever the fuck she wants. It's just at a certain point it gets a little tiring, I guess. And especially because the next most prominent female character in the sequel trilogy
is Mon Mothma. Yeah. Who has 2 lines of exposition.
And like I said that to my girlfriend, we were watching Return of the Jedi, and she was like, "Who is Mon Mothma?" And then when she showed up, she was like, "Who's this lady?" Like Mon Mothma's not a character with like a ton of
No.
So it's just whatever, because it's like everyone gets drawn into the palace.
Yeah.
Han Solo and Chewbacca, they're in jail. The droids are sort of servants. Leia's a slave. And then Luke shows up and, like, saves the day. It's pretty cool.
We're going over this quickly?
Yeah. Dude, we don't have much time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great moment here where they're on the barge. Everyone's there. Han is mostly blind.
Yeah.
They all look to each other and nod. They hit this, like, one awesome, like, music cue every time one of them nods, where they go, like, dump.
Yeah, oh, it's great.
Which
they reused for
glances.
the prequel trilogy trailers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lando, everyone nodding. How are they going to get out of this? R2-D2 fucking shoots a lightsaber out of his head.
Well,
the whole time R2 was there for him.
I mean, I would backtrack, even though, just briefly. Like, I just like Luke's entrance when he's all in black.
Yeah.
And he's suddenly, like, force commanding people
and
out of his way.
A couple.
The guards, I guess he kind of, a little bit. And he, like, brainwashes Bib Fortuna.
Yeah.
And he's just the whole time like...
Yeah, see, you went too fast over this. Because
I did not go too fast. You went to the sail barge. I wasn't talking about that.
I'm so on edge about the fact that I'm seeing this movie tomorrow.
Oh, my God. And he, like, fights the Rancor.
Yes.
Wait.
But there's also this sort of misdirect where at this point in time you wonder if Luke is, like, turned bad. Like, he's black, he's choking people.
I gotta be honest, I never thought that when I was, like, a kid. Like, that never occurred to me.
But now watching it as an adult, it's clearly meant to trick you.
But I guess so, yeah. Yeah, but I guess because he gave up the droids, so you're thinking, like, oh, what's up with Luke? Is he, like... But...
The Rancor fight I love.
Yeah, it's interesting. I enjoy the Rancor fight, but I will say it is sort of... It's emblematic of this movie's, like, likable problems, which are then embellished on unlikably in the prequel movies, where it's like, he's gonna fight a giant crazy puppet. I don't know, just because, like, it'll be cool. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
But it feels like what Jabba would do. Like, Jabba
likes
watching people suffer.
It's
He likes
just
having women as slaves. He likes watching men get killed.
Yeah.
Like, he's a bummer dude.
I know. It's just like this movie's a little long.
Yeah.
And, like...
This is the longest of the three.
Easily.
Yeah, it's 2:15, I think.
And, like, it has a lot of sequences that are... Obviously, like, George Lucas sort of flexing his muscles, being like, wow, we're going to do this crazy big stop motion creature. We're going to do this speeder bike chase. It
like, feels all this effect showcasey in a way the other two don't as much. The other two, it's like, I can't believe he was able to execute this vision. And this one, it felt like he was like, what's a cool idea for a thing to happen? But I think all the things are cool.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. They're all very likable here. It's just like you do sort of get a whiff of like, oh, this is sort of... He's being encouraged maybe in the wrong direction a little bit.
And also the
best part is the Rancor, like, what's his name? The Keeper, whatever he is.
It's maybe my favorite thing in the entire film.
It's great. It's such a good note.
And they don't hit it too hard. The guy doesn't have dialogue.
No, he just cries.
Luke kills the Rancor and he's like walks in there.
Which Luke should kill the Rancor.
Right.
Yeah.
But the idea is this is a fully rounded universe in which everyone has their reasons.
Well, yeah, and also it's like you don't really like hate the Rancor. He's just like this giant beast who's kept in like a cage.
Right. And like, yes, Luke is our hero. He should kill the Rancor because he has to survive. But that guy's job for the last 10 years has been feeding this Rancor. Of course he'd be sad. And you have that shot of like the guy consoling him.
It's a great little
It's a
moment.
Nice little humanist moment. Yeah. Like everyone in the galaxy has their own life. They got to wake up every morning and feed a Rancor or like get fired by Darth Vader.
Scoop the Rancor.
Yeah.
Anyway, we do have to move on.
Yeah.
Because there's, oh my God, look,
this is the best stuff in the movie to talk about is the first 40 minutes. The rest of the movie you can kind of past.
I agree with that. The Jabba sequence is so well realized.
Yeah.
And also, Leia gets her just desserts.
Yeah,
she chokes Jabba.
No, I noted. Yeah. Yes, she gets to choke Jabba. It's great.
She looks miserable the whole time she's in the costume.
I'm not saying she... I mean, Carrie Fisher has had a lot to say about that costume over the years.
I know. I mean, I don't have a clear thesis on it. I just think a lot of what's problematic about it is what culture has made of it in the last 20 years. Like, there was 20 years of everyone being like, fucking hot, huh? Not Star Wars itself doing that, but the things around Star Wars and the companies that make the T-shirts and the TV shows that parody it. And then it becomes like, well, maybe if you only have one female character, whether or not it's justified in the plot, you shouldn't have her.
More female voices have been heard in recent years than were heard at earlier points in time.
Agreed.
In all spectrums of culture.
If you only have one female character of note in a trilogy and you have her wear a bikini...
I'm not here to fucking say it. Like, people can think what they want.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know where I stand on it, but I just think...
My big problem is that Leia then, like, her big moment is killing Jabba.
Yes.
She gets a couple other cool little notes in the movie.
Speeder bike chase.
Speeder bike chase is fun. Mm-hmm. There's that moment where she shoots the stormtrooper, where she's got the gun. But a lot of the movie is Leia just kind of chilling out and being told things. And kind of, she's all right, but she doesn't...
It's her weakest.
She doesn't have a huge arc except for being told she's Luke's sister.
Yeah. Which we knew. I don't know why the film...
Well, she has to find out. So they give us that moment. Yeah. But anyway, just to wrap up the Jabba stuff, because, there's a lot. It's like, there's that cool thing where Luke gets the lightsaber out of R2 and, like, does this cool, like, jump off of the diving board. And
it's a little goofy, but I like goofy things.
I
Maybe
like
the
that
best
stuff.
Joke in the movie.
I like the reveal that his lightsaber is green.
Me too.
I like all these cute little things. The Sarlacc is a good idea, except Luke.
Now it's all CGI.
Lucas added all this nonsense to it. It's not necessary.
But no, the thing I was gonna say is goofy. Maybe my favorite joke in the movie as a little boy and watching this movie and liking Muppets and retreating back to a simpler state of mind is Han's still largely blind. Chewbacca growls something at him. He goes, "Boba Fett." Where?
Boba Fett.
Yeah, and then turns around to try to find Boba Fett, and in the process knocks Boba Fett off and kills him into a pit.
I was gonna say it's kind of weird because like Boba Fett's so hyped up, and he's in the Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
and it's like, his end is like Han accidentally knocks him into the Sarlacc.
It's a Mr. Magoo bit.
Yeah,
Boba Fett dies at the hands of a Mr. Magoo bit.
Han Solo is pretty funny in this opening sequence too. Like he's being kind of sardonic with Luke. And
he's got that great line where he goes, "Where's Luke?" He goes, "Oh, he's their Jedi." And he goes, "Luke, a Jedi? So I'm gone for a couple minutes. Everyone suddenly has delusions of grandeur."
It's a great line.
Great.
And he, there's that thing where he like the tentacle has Lando, and he like kind of shoots it, and it's all fun. It's good, good fun.
It's blind. It's a
Mr.
Magoo routine, but it's good.
Maybe just had a second more. Like he doesn't do anything.
I wish he wasn't a little boy in Attack of the Clones, and there wasn't that misdirective.
That's true.
Yeah, making us think he's too important.
Very true.
Yeah.
So, it's cool.
Yeah.
They blow up the sail barge. It's all a little convenient. Like the droids jump off at the last second and then they like magnetize them out.
I just thought of an interesting question.
What?
He loses his lightsaber at the end of the previous movie.
Yeah.
He's got a new lightsaber.
Yeah.
We've learned from the
Clone Wars animated series
that where they make and how they it's the Jedi temple, the crystals.
Right.
But there's no Jedis anymore.
Who's
making this lightsaber?
No, because his lightsaber is green means it uses a synthetic crystal. So he didn't go to that cave.
Is that true?
That is the stupid canon explanation for that.
Okay, so
the real reason it's green is because the special effects people needed a color that popped more against a blue sky.
But the in-canon reason.
Yeah. Because like the original posters for this movie, he has a blue lightsaber.
Interesting.
But then eventually they were like, blue doesn't look good. He's waving it against the blue sky a lot. Let's make it green. And thus multicolored lightsabers were born. It's like, this is the thing about Star Wars and all of these things that they layer in with all these additional
it's like accidental
movies.
Magic.
It's like, they were just making a fucking movie. Yeah. Like originally the lightsabers were going to be white in The New Hope. And they were like, let's make one blue and red just so they look different.
But to throw out this thing about the special edition without invoking your least favorite woman in the world.
I'm going to strangle you.
I'm not going to invoke her. I think George genuinely does go, well, but originally I want it to be this. It should look like this, this, and that. And doesn't understand that...
that's the way it is, George.
A, that's the way it is. And B, you're not always right. The things that happen by mistake are oftentimes happy accidents.
That's true. But I do also think, like, look, George Lucas is a weird character. There's not a lot of other directors who behave the way he did, which is essentially you made a couple movies and then you just worked on them for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And, you hear about, like, Spielberg tweaking E.T. and immediately realizing, like, I hated that I ever did that. You know, so other directors have the opposite. But, that's the kind of director George Lucas is, and we just kind of have to live with it. Like, if George Lucas had made Silent Running and tinkered with it, no one would care as much.
Because these movies don't mean
because they wouldn't.
That
I like Silent Running, but
yes.
It's not the cornerstone of America's most popular pop culture franchise.
There's a story that Simon Pegg was at some Hollywood like shindig party thing,
sure,
and was talking to Ron Howard, and George Lucas came up to him, and I guess Ron Howard was a big fan of Shaun of the Dead. Was talking to him. George Lucas came up and said, "Hey, Ron, how are you doing?" And Ron Howard said, "Hey, have you met Simon Pegg? Simon Pegg, sorry. So, have you met Simon Pegg? He's the guy who did Shaun of the Dead." And he went, no, I haven't seen it. And Ron Howard, oh, man, it's great. It's so good. It's the best thing I've seen in such a long time. And Lucas went, congratulations. And this is Simon Pegg's story.
Uh-huh.
He says that Lucas looked at him and said, do me a favor. Just promise me right now you won't end up making the same movie 30 years from now.
Wow.
And, walked away.
So he was in some weird, melancholy mood.
Said it as a haunted man. I do think...
Look, I mean, it's for sure that, and it seems like from all these interviews George Lucas has had to give revolving around a movie that he actually has no, stake in.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens. He seems pretty embittered about, look, nobody liked my movies. What am I going to do?
I think
everyone's happy that I'm not involved in this one.
But it became a prison for him. And perhaps the way this recording studio has become a prison for us. I'm
going to fucking kill you.
I'm trying to thematically tie everything together.
Why? You try too hard to tie everything together.
You spend too much time thinking about one thing. It starts to drive you mad.
Right.
Maybe the release of the fact that tomorrow we'll see the new Star Wars movie and we'll be freed is the gift that we need for this Christmas season.
David, don't grab Griffin like that.
Don't grab me, David.
David, stop it.
Stop
I'm saying
choking
you're
me.
thinking too much.
All right, we're getting
about
out of hand.
this whole fucking thing.
like narrative.
We need to talk about Return of the Jedi.
Okay, so Luke goes back to Dagobah. He sees Yoda. Yoda is not doing
hate
well.
this scene. One of the probably the worst scene in the original trilogy. I would say.
So strongly.
This scene, which was added at Kasdan's and at Lucas's request.
Okay.
Was written. It wasn't in the original script.
Was Yoda not supposed to be in
not
the film
supposed
at
to
all?
appear?
Interesting.
But Lucas decided after consulting with a child psychologist that kids might think that Vader was just lying when he said he was Luke's father, and so they needed sort of a confirmation. I hate this scene because one, dying Yoda takes forever to say everything, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, because all he's saying is Darth Vader's your dad, you have a sister, and we know all that shit already. And Hamill doesn't really sell
this scene
his feelings, which should be he should have some major feelings about all this, because basically what he's being told is look, we knew the whole time, and we've kind of watched you your whole life. It's a lot of whammy to put on a guy.
It's a lot of whammy.
And the thing where he's like, there is another Skywalker. You're like, oh.
Well, this is me not being able to view this movie objectively because
you just
I think the puppetry's so good in this.
It is. It's very well done, and it's cool that Yoda looks more ancient than he did even in the last movie.
And they really sell the physical performance of someone dying. It's
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I just think this scene is almost entirely superfluous, and then is followed by a scene where Luke just chats with Obi-Wan's ghost, who previously has been this kind of difficult to see vision or this overheard voice.
Now he's sitting on a log with him. Now they're just having a beer and
Luke's
talking.
What's the deal?
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's look, I don't know. Anakin and Darth Vader are almost two different people to me.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right. It feels like retconning. I think this is the worst part of the whole movie.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, or at least you see where I'm coming from, right?
I do. I see where you're coming from. I just have such a hard time actually judging this
It's fine.
film.
No, I agree
I don't
with
know.
you. I mean, because there are lots of things in this movie that I like that I know I should maybe be a little more critical of.
Right.
But this scene has never been a favorite of mine. I'm less into puppetry than you are.
Yeah, I just love puppetry.
Yeah,
I can get
fair.
blinded by that.
But you got to admit the Obi-Wan scene is
that's some goofy
I
nonsense.
actually feel a little bad for Alec Guinness, who you know was never particularly interested in the Star Wars movies, that they brought him in for this.
Do you know who I think also feels a little bad for Alec Guinness? Alec Guinness during that scene. He looks really embarrassed.
He just looks a little pained.
Really
He's
pained.
yeah. Because it's just all exposition.
Yeah.
Which is kind of Obi-Wan's facility in the original movies and in the non-original movies.
But is also starting to tiptoe towards the problems of the Phantom Menace trilogy.
It is.
Whereas
where it's all explained out loud.
Well, this is the key difference. For Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas is a very good storyteller. He's telling stories. And in this one, he's starting to get into plot. There's a lot of plot to be dug up and distributed.
It's interesting because you're right, and yet also the plot's basically already known.
But isn't that the exact thing that happens with the Phantom Menace trilogy? Where it's the basic beats are so simple, and he's adding all this plot to the sidelines that I agree can be inferred, doesn't need to be focused on.
We have discussed the failures of the Phantom Menace trilogy, but I mean, obviously the problem with that is he probably has about 1.5 movies worth of
actual story.
prequel plot.
Yeah.
And so he has to pad it out with all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what's really bad? The prequel movies. They're so bad.
They're really
Every
bad.
time I think of something from them, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because I've been watching the original, the old movies.
I know.
Like, and you're really...
They also don't even look like the same
They
films.
don't.
They don't
even
look like
at
they're
the
part
same
of the
movies
same
at all.
franchise.
The only thing that looks the same is like lightsabers. Like, really simple visual effects. The only thing that's the same is the music and the sounds, basically.
We need to see this new movie. We need to just exercise all these demons from us. This room
I think
is
that's
haunted
the purpose.
now. Ben,
1 hour.
we're at the 1
Yeah,
hour
I know. We
mark.
got
Okay.
it. We got it. But you know what? You're kind of right, because after the Jabba stuff
Right?
and that little Dagobah sequence,
It becomes two things that
we
need to
meet
get done.
at like the Rebel Alliance base.
Yeah.
The Rebel Alliance seems to be mostly governed by these like red fish people who we've never met before.
My favorite character.
Akbar's great.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, you don't know what's going on there, but like you say, it's kind of like the Jabba stuff. You're like, all right, cool.
Yeah, he has a fish head sticking vertically outside of a human suit.
And he has like flipper arms,
Yeah.
flipper hands,
Yeah.
which makes no sense because it's a spaceship that's clearly just designed for like humans. It has like buttons and dials.
His main job would be hitting buttons.
You're like, how the fuck does any of this work?
But he's
Doesn't
got a
matter.
great voice.
He does.
His mouth
Akbar's
flaps.
cool. They seem to be like the calamari people. They're called which is hilarious.
The best.
They seem to be like the naval backbone. Like they have all these big ships that
well, because Mon Mothma's a human, and she's
Mon Mothma's a human, and she's in the
overseeing-
prequel trilogy mostly in deleted scenes.
exclusively in deleted.
Is it? Does she not even show up?
If she does, it's in a
It's
background.
silent. Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm all but certain she does not appear visually.
I'll say this: I hate the Mon Mothma stuff. I hate it
Why?
because she is like, many Bothan spies died to get this information, and there I'm like, all right, well, we don't know what those are, so like she's selling it way too hard for me.
Yeah. But once again, I think this is that thing that this is the movie where George is starting to get way too interested in the small details.
A little bit.
You
Little
know?
bit.
It's the forest through the trees thing. Like people like the fact that this world exists.
Yeah.
Let's spotlight it a little
Which
more.
is what happens to the sequel.
But I think there's a tricky balance, which is that like you can have these things existing around the film and not explained, and they add intrigue. Let me say
I
this.
don't disagree with you. We just really have to get to the end of this
But
movie.
the second
My
you
God.
start to hint at it a little bit, you become aware of the fact that you don't know more.
We haven't even talked about the Ewoks or the Emperor.
Okay,
Oh
so
my
they
God.
land on the
This is
planet
insane.
Endor.
No, the moon, forest moon of the planet
Oh,
Endor.
right.
Anyway, there's two plots.
Yes.
This is what happens. Everyone meets up, Lando's there, and we're sent on two missions. Mission 1, go to this forest moon.
You're a general.
Shut down. Yeah, Solo, Han's in charge of this mission.
Yeah.
Go to the forest moon, shut down the force field that's around the Death Star.
Yeah.
I like this idea. Death Star is not yet finished. It has to be protected by a force
Just
field.
shut down the security.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
Mission 2, what the fuck is Mission
Lando
2?
Calrissian.
Lando in the Millennium Falcon.
You're a general.
With like the rebel fleet.
Yes.
You're gonna, once this is shut down, fly into the Death Star, blow it up.
Nine Numb is his
Nine
right-hand
Numb is
man.
his Mickey Mouse. Awesome.
He's on the Falcon. Cool.
So, mostly we're on plot A.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I remember this movie being overlong and having a lot of Ewok shit. It has so much of this shit.
Yeah.
There's this really cool start where there's this speeder bike chase that we've talked about.
Awesome.
Really really visually interesting where
Yeah.
they're racing through the trees.
Yeah.
Like, I love that Lucas kept finding new ways to do essentially like a space battle, but like with different environments, different,
yes,
this is
yes.
like a bike chase. I mean,
Right.
whatever. It's got its
Yeah.
foot in a lot of, that's cool.
But a forest is an environment we know, and we're placing something we don't know in it. It's still relatable.
This introduces Leia to the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Who are adorable teddy bear creatures with big, like, black eyes.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, they look like a bunch of teddy bears.
They look
They look like the Care Bears.
They sort of behave. I mean, they seem to resemble the Native American culture
I guess so, but
in the
they're
way that he does this
childlike.
vague mapping.
It is.
They're childlike Native American.
It is utterly offensive to consider, but it makes the correct choice of not having them speak English,
right?
Which does help. But they are like so annoyingly child. I mean, basically, they're a quote unquote primitive culture. And much like in Phantom Menace,
Right.
Lucas seems to delight in the idea of like, oh, they beat the Empire using their know-how and their guerrilla tactics,
And they're really small.
they're very. Look,
And I'm on the
Ben hates
record.
this. He's
I
on
hate
the record of hating.
Well,
this.
little beings.
I want to be on the
that
record.
win.
I think that
Stupid.
Wicket, the main Ewok,
Yeah.
played by Warwick Davis, a
Yeah.
young Warwick Davis, is so cute.
I do too.
I love him, and I like the Ewoks in general. I mean, when I was a kid, I fucking
This is
loved
the thing. I once
Ewoks.
again can't be objective.
I know. It's hard to be objective.
It's so tough.
But
I like
also,
that they're in little suits.
but
I like the...
Wicked's got a little butt, and he
He's got a
toddles
little
around.
butt. I like little butts.
He's always like, there's this really cute scene where he thinks Leia's helmet is like a weapon.
Cute.
And he's like, "Arr, arr."
Cute.
It's all great. Love the Ewoks. If you consider the Ewoks too much, they bum you out. You can't deny it.
Yeah, also maybe they should only be in like 20 minutes of the movie as opposed to like 4.5 hours of the movie.
It's so annoying because they like capture Luke and Han and all these people.
Yeah.
And like there's this sense that like there are stakes, like maybe they're going to murder them.
Yeah.
And you just never buy it. They worship C-3PO as a god.
Which essentially feels like a plot line from Mork and Mindy. It feels
Exactly.
like a sitcom subplot where they think he's a god because he's gold, and then Luke has to levitate him to make it look like he's magic so that he can convince them not to eat Luke. But it's goofy. Like, it's kind of goofy. Fun.
There's a bizarre scene where C-3PO does the plot of the previous movies in like Ewok language using sound effects.
Yeah, because they haven't seen the Star Wars movies.
It is fucking stupid as shit. And like, so there's stuff like that that's stupid as shit.
But it's goofy.
And like on this sequences where suddenly Han Solo becomes aware of a love triangle that no longer exists.
Oh, he for the first time
it's so
picks
weird.
up on the fact that
after basically just like being with Leia in this movie, he suddenly his confidence like leaves him, and he's like, "Oh, you're in love with Luke. You must be in love with Luke."
It's fine. I'll leave. Don't worry. I'll get out of your hair.
And it's so weird because we and Leia and everyone's just like, no, that actually Han, like that basically has been dispensed with.
This is my brother.
There's this really boring scene where Luke reveals to Leia that they're related, that I think doesn't land. It's kind of my problem with Leia's arc, is she sort of like passively just like listens to all this stuff.
But see, I think Richard Marquand isn't a very good actor's director.
Well, George Lucas disagrees with you.
I think he was probably had a better process.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think the performances are pretty weak in this.
The big emotional scenes in this movie all are really forced.
But like, look, let's make my friend Marie Barty, our friend, pointed out to me that like Leia has a crazy fucking coke fingernail in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's got one long fingernail, which is like, I think everyone in this movie is just kind of like, all right, like, are we done? Like, Harrison Ford basically wanted to be like dead in this movie.
He wanted them to kill him off.
You know, Mark Hamill, I don't know him as much. I'm sure he was fine, but everyone
he looks really good in this movie.
He is, and Carrie Fisher, like everyone feels like just a little detached.
Yeah.
Like a little emotionally detached.
Yeah.
From a production that I imagine was a little more elaborate and annoying. And they were all famous. Especially Harrison Ford was already Indiana Jones at this point.
Least experienced director they had worked with.
Yeah. So, like, that does show through in the performance, like in the scenes where there is not special effects, which is few.
Mm-hmm. Maybe like 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Ewok stuff especially.
Well, let's get to the Darth Vader stuff, because that's the last important thread to cover.
I mean, the major thing in the Ewok stuff is just that there is this long, obviously Vietnam-inspired scenes of like the Ewoks defeating the Imperials, like using tree trunks,
right?
And it's like kind of cute. It's a little much, and it just sort of reminds you of the Gungan thing, which is way worse, but is in the same ballpark. I know you like it. It's fun.
It's tough. I mean, like, because I watched it even like last night and was like, I don't know why people are so hard on this. And as you explain it, I'm like, I completely understand why people are so hard on this.
No, I know when you watch it, you're basically. I do think it goes on a bit. Like, they have like 4 sequences with logs, and you're like, we get it. They got
logs. They got logs. Logs can hit people. We get it. Yeah. No, they hit it. They hit it pretty hard.
The best scene I would say in all of that, in all of the forest stuff, is just when the Imperials surprise Han Solo, and the guy goes, "You rebel scum," and you never see the Imperials like get worked up or like hate the rebels. It's just sort of fun to see that guy like getting his one line in.
Okay, but
on the other end, Luke gives himself up to Vader
because Yoda said you gotta kill Vader. You're not a Jedi until you kill Vader. Because Luke's like, check. I've done all the Jedi stuff.
At no point have the Jedi ever said like, yes, you go into the cave and you got to calm your emotions. And yes, then, of course, you get your license to kill mission.
I think it's more...
I think it's more just Yoda being like, Vader's got to go, and you're the only one who can do it.
I think it's a little that, and column A. Column B is a little bit of like, that's the thing that's still holding you back.
Yeah.
You know, like Vader represents so much to you. It's like the fear of you know, that you have to conquer inside
that's
you.
fair.
For him to say you have to kill Vader as
Only
opposed to
then a Jedi you will be, he
right,
says.
as opposed to you have to face Vader. I'm going insane right now.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. He gives himself up to Darth Vader.
Yeah, Darth Vader.
The Mr. Potato Head version of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And they like have this talk. They have like a very casual sort of talk.
where he's like, "You're my dad. Hey, Dad. What's up, Dad?" And Vader's like, "I'm not your dad, man.
Yeah.
I'm crazy. You look at me. I'm a big black robot, man.
And he's like, "Hey,
I'm scary.
Peep this. You're not only my dad, you're Leia's dad." And he's like, "Yes." Luke tells him then.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Am I wrong about
this? You're totally wrong. The whole sister scene comes in the final battle. It's like the climactic moment of the battle.
Oh,
where he
right.
says,
yes,
"Sister, you have a sister.
Yes,
Your feelings
yes,
betray her."
Yes.
No, it's Luke almost being like impetuous, being like, "Hey, Anakin, what's up, Anakin?" And Vader's like, I'm not Darth Vader.
Don't call me that.
Like, and he's like, Anakin. Yeah, you're my dad, Anakin. You're good. I can, you know, he's like, I can feel it. And Vader's like, shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
And takes him to the Emperor. So we're finally seeing the Emperor.
Yeah.
One, he looks so much better than he did when he looked like the influence in Revenge of the Sith.
Well, because it almost looks in this film like he's just an old man.
Yeah, he's got like impressive but not absurdly symmetrical evil face makeup. He's just kind of got like white saggy skin with like shit all over his face.
But like you almost didn't need
like,
to explain why his face got fucked up.
No,
you could
old
just in Revenge of the
evil.
Sith have him look like that and then have him 30 years later
it's
look
kinda,
like
you know,
this.
he should just be Voldemort-y. And like the whole point of Voldemort is like, well, he's powered by evil magic, so he looks evil.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of twisted him.
Yes.
That's what we get from the Emperor. The Emperor, 80% of the time, he's sitting in a chair and just saying to Luke, kill me, come on.
Well, it's like a real mirror of the scene from Revenge of the Sith, where he's in an identical chair.
Sure.
And he's going, good.
Yeah.
He's saying most of the same lines.
And he's saying to Luke, like, I'm going to crush the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
I've set this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Like, this is your big moment to just get angry and mad, and then...
And Vader and the Emperor are both saying to Luke, like, hey, man, you don't know how cool it is to fucking be evil. It's like the best.
We know the Emperor is basically thinking, like, look, Anakin didn't totally work out. He's a weird robot.
Here's our new guy.
Let's nail it this time.
Right. So they start having a full-on battle.
He eventually goads Luke into sort of emotional violence, right?
Right.
Like Luke
against
being angry.
Vader. Yeah.
And Luke kind of tries to chill out, and then Vader, there's that whole scene where he's like, your sister, perhaps I'll turn your sister.
Yeah.
And that's when Luke goes berserk, chops his hand off.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, and this is a moment I think that people are debating right now because people are wondering what Luke's going to be like in the new movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like, no, not going to do it. Not going to, like, turn to the dark side.
There's the cool moment where he looks at the stump
he looks
and he
at
looks
his
at his own hand and
the black
sees,
glove.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not going to, and it's sort of a reflection of the cave scene.
Yeah.
And then the Emperor just, like, you know, starts jacking him up with lightning.
Right.
You know? He's like, all right, fine, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this scene?
Fine. Well, what's the problem that people have with it?
I don't know if people have a problem. I always, like, it takes, like, a while. I guess the Emperor's just supposed to be torturing him.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're like, come on, he can't kill him? Like...
Yeah, I think it's a torture. He's not...
I guess so.
His end goal isn't to kill him. It's to get him to change his mind.
It's an idiotic move on the Emperor's part because it basically moves Vader to, like, finally snap
Vader
and
has
toss
a lot of
the
time
Emperor
to sidestep.
into the...
He gets a
like,
crab
a
walk
lot of,
over.
there's, like, multiple of Vader kind of going, like, turning to Luke, turning to the Emperor, turning to Luke. Like, he's, like, watching a tennis game.
But it's also a movie, and they gotta... I mean, this is the moment you've been building up to this whole time. You have to, you know, hit it hard, I guess.
Lucas added this thing where he goes like, no, which is insane. I had totally forgotten about that.
It's the same fucking no from the end of Revenge of the Sith. He puts the no in there.
But he kills the Emperor. Now, here's my question, because I think we have to discuss this, even though we only have a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is Vader really redeemed? All he does is kill the Emperor in a fairly selfish moment. He doesn't even like the Emperor. Who likes the Emperor? He's an asshole.
I don't.
And he's trying to save his son.
I don't think redeemed.
Like, we're talking about a guy who, like, massacred lots of Jedis.
No.
And then I assume committed countless atrocities as Darth Vader. But, like, the movie acts like, you know what? In the end, he was a good guy.
I don't think it redeems him. I think in that final moment, it shows his humanity takes over again at the final moment. I don't think he could.
He was never totally lost, I guess.
Right. There's nothing he could do to redeem like 40 years of bullshit.
Maybe the idea. Well, but he says like you were right. We see him played by Sebastian Shaw, this sort of chalk white, kind of fucked up looking guy.
Yeah.
And maybe the idea is he's finally free of the Emperor's spell.
I think he's free of the spell, and I think he his humanity wins over again. But I don't think he's redeemed.
Right.
I don't think
it's a note. And he dies. Vader dies. And Luke burns his body, much like Qui-Gon's body was burned. He burns his body on Endor.
The final scene between Luke and Vader, I like. It's a father and a son talking for the first time.
It's pretty good.
And you see, like, oh, right.
And Luke's sad. Luke's like, you're going to die? Shit.
And Vader's just like a dude. He's just like a sad old dude inside a suit. Yeah.
On the other side, we've got, like, they blow up the shield, and there's a pretty cool space battle. It's pretty cool.
Ewoks have a party.
Well, no, come on, this space battle. Lando blows up the Death Star.
That's awesome. Yes.
Akbar says it's a trap.
Right. They realize,
I mean, it's not quite as thrilling as the original movies.
And it's kind
Death
of a
Star run because,
you
kind of know where it's going.
We've already seen the Death Star. We know what's going to
And, we know the Millennium Falcon's not going to blow up. We know Lando's not going to die.
Yeah.
You just kind of know these things. It's just kind of, clear that, everything's just waiting to get, we're just waiting for Han Solo to blow up the energy field.
We just want to get all our friends back in one place. Yeah.
And then they reunite and they have a party on Endor. And then Lucas cuts in scenes of celebration. I know, it's such a bummer. Now, to really live, just to think about it, because, he adds all these
things. Gungans.
They cut to Naboo, they cut to Coruscant, places we have not seen in these first three movies.
In this trilogy at all.
And then we see the ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin, as played by Hayden Christensen.
Fuck you.
And what I really think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant because it's George Lucas just saying, he knows at this point when he's making these Blu-rays, because it was the Blu-ray where he inserted this, right?
Yes, on the DVD it was still Sebastian Shaw playing an unscarred ghost of Anakin. Yeah.
And I know Lucas has this whole thing where he's like, well, when Anakin was good, he looked like Hayden Christensen, so that's what he should like. He has his whole rationalization. That's not why he did it. He did it because he knows grown-ups were just like, fuck those movies. I'm showing my kids 4, 5, and 6. Forget the prequels. I'm not going to show them the prequels. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, if you do that, your kid's going to be at the end, be like, who's that? What's this? He basically makes it impossible for you to not watch the prequels in one final little visual, gag.
Do you actually think that's his?
I think that as much as you think Marshall Lucas stained glass window.
Well, I believe that very strongly.
Well, there you go. I do think that it is him saying these movies are one 6-part series.
Yes, I agree with that.
And
yes,
you cannot
take it or leave
avoid that.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think he thinks they're all the same movie, and does understand how people could like.
I'm sorry that I got so
the
mad
other.
at you, although I was so
it's
mad
fine,
at
we're
you.
going crazy. I haven't slept in 3 days. I
do
need to
want
see
say,
this new movie. Yeah,
we have spent how many weeks?
This is 36, I think.
30, so many weeks just speculating on this man's intentions.
This was the last one he ever had a hand in.
It's crazy that how much we do that.
I know.
It is crazy.
I know, but I just think you...
And I sympathize with him because I do, like I was saying
do
earlier,
too. I think he's
overly
a wounded
scrutinized
character.
and bullied.
Yeah.
And he did make all these things we love.
Yeah.
But it is crazy how much you think about just fucking George Lucas, man.
Well, can I end this episode with one story?
Okay, sure.
It's about George, but I think it's important.
Okay. Is it okay, go ahead.
Kathleen Kennedy, who
new
now
producer.
is in charge of Lucasfilm,
Yep.
spearheading all these new movies. There was a piece in Entertainment Weekly recently when they talked about when George came to her and he said, I feel like everyone's just mad at me no matter what I do. I was going to make new movies.
Oh, I love this story. This is a good story.
But now I don't know. I want to know.
Where he was basically feeling out maybe I should hand this off.
Right. Would you want to take over Star Wars? And she said, that's a big responsibility. Star Wars means a lot to a lot of people, and I don't know if I understand why yet. So I need some time to see if I can figure out what Star Wars is, on a cellular level, before I feel comfortable being the one who has to make the new ones.
She's a smart lady.
So she did a lot of research and read all the things that the fans wrote and tried to differentiate between what they liked and what they didn't like and why the prequels and the originals and the whatever and the whatever.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And she said, the thing I'm missing is I need to figure out where these movies came from.
Yeah, where were you? Where were you when you were coming up with A New Hope?
So she went to George and asked him that, and he went, well, I like Star adventure serials and Buck Rogers.
He gives the answer that a Wikipedia entry basically could give. It's Joseph Campbell, Buck Rogers, the end.
And she went, no, where were you when you made them?
Emotionally, George.
And
where were you emotionally?
It was like a space soap opera. It's about families. They're for children. He kept on doing that.
Hitting his beats. And like saying, Chewbacca was based on my dog, whatever.
Right. And she went like, okay, George, new conversation. I'm not asking you about Star Wars.
Right.
What was happening in your life roughly between the years of
the mid-70s.
20 and 30?
Yeah, right.
And
early mid-70s.
And he went, well, my father owned a hardware store, and growing up, everyone thought I was going to take over the hardware store, and that was what my family cared about. And I didn't want to I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that living a life as a hardware store owner didn't seem exciting to me. And she was like, oh, that's Star Wars.
Right. I mean, like, that's the yearning to, like, escape and to, sort of...
You don't know what, but there's something out there for you in the world.
That's Luke looking at the
moons,
the suns.
And going, I don't know what it is, but there's something in this world there that's meant out there for me.
Right.
And as people talk about the hero's journey, Luke is not the chosen one in this movie.
Right. It's so crucial.
A kid, right? Who happens to be at the right place
at
the right time.
He's not someone who like gets a blood test that confirms that maybe he's part of a prophecy. He's just a kid.
He's someone who feels like, I want my life to be
an
something
orphan,
different.
A classic, hero journey type character.
I don't feel like I belong here, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And
he gazing out at the stars.
At the right place at the right time. Right. And Obi-Wan says to him, if you want to come with me.
I mean, it's like Obi-Wan says, like, you've always been meant to do this. It's like the same thing that Harry Potter and a million other things do, where it's like, turns out you're actually kind of special. Let's go.
But I don't know what it's going to be. There's no Jedi Council anymore. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to the Phantom Menace trilogy is a kid who seemingly is happy with his life despite being a slave.
I mean, let's not speculate. He's all right. He's doing fine.
But he seems to be doing okay. He doesn't seem to have a yearning.
No. Who is, like, swept up.
Whether or not he's happy, he doesn't seem to have a yearning.
Who's swept up in a grand story.
By a bunch of adults who point their fingers at him and go,
they say,
you're supposed to do something important.
Because of a blood test.
You're important. You have to do this.
Yeah.
And I think the fundamental difference is that the original films are George Lucas going, I don't know, I have something to say, I need to figure out what it is.
Right.
And the Phantom Menace trilogy is a bunch of people going, you're a genius. You made those movies that everyone loved. You have to keep on being a genius. You have to do this thing again.
Yeah.
And with those pressures and those expectations, he just sort of went crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, not to use the word crazy
He killed a bunch
loosely.
of younglings. No,
I
get the parallel you are drawing.
But that he succumbed to the expectations. He felt
heartbroken.
He
made a movie about the pressure
lost.
of expectation.
Yes. And about how power corrupts.
And they're not good movies, but they are kind of about that. They're about expectations going wrong.
They're very telling
And they're
films.
about, like, that you can't fight fate, and if you do, it's going to fuck with you.
And he didn't know what he wanted to say anymore. Or if he even had anything to say.
And now he doesn't get to make any more Star Wars movies.
Look, for all we've talked about him, I feel very deeply grateful to him and what he created.
Love him. And anytime I see him, I feel a little pang.
And I do think he's a sweetie pie, And I feel bad. Like, I feel bad for all the people out there, including us, who have shit on him for so much. Yeah. It's because he made things that we cared about so much. But he's not a bad guy, and we need to sort of rewrite that narrative.
Yeah. I think it's just a complicated narrative, and we just, we're just part of it. He's a
hurt man, he's a scared man, he's a confused man, but who isn't?
Yeah, but also he's just like one thing in this like giant monster he created that's like good and bad, and he's just swept up in it. He was a farm
boy staring at the sunset.
You're trying
and then he had to kill his dad, like it all.
I'm
trying too hard, but I think
your general point
is good, right?
Is pretty good.
What do you say?
I say this is the end of our episode.
Not just the end of the episode. The end of me having to hear more about Star Wars.
That's the real story here.
Well, except that tomorrow we're going to see the new movie, and then Friday.
Yeah, but he's not going to be in town.
I didn't get tickets. You guys will show up and do whatever the fuck you do.
Yeah, he's just going to hit record.
But Ben, you're forgetting one thing.
What?
We got a holiday special.
Oh,
fuck.
God damn it.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's good.
Ding, 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 ding.
So close.
As always.
Griffin,
take us home. Because I need to pee.
A holiday special?
A holiday special.
Yeah, we'll see you guys for the holiday special.
We'll be coming out
around Christmas
Force
time.
Awakens will be coming out. Podcast Awakens will be coming out on Monday.
Yeah.
And the holiday special, I believe, will come out on Thursday. Something like that.
Oh, really? Or we're not going to just do it the next Monday? Yeah, well, no, we'll do it it'll come out Monday the 28th, probably, right?
We'll see. It'll be coming out soon.
We'll figure it.
Have fun.
But as always,
it's
been a pleasure, guys.
It's been a pleasure. As always, we love you, George.
Aww.